And here we are. Welcome to the Global Gurus podcast, a 15-minute conversation with the thinkers shaping the future of business. Every episode, we are going to ask our guests 3 questions. What is the biggest problem that you see right now? What is the original methodology that you have built in order to solve this? And how are you applying this to create measurable results in the real world? Okay, let's be practical, right? I am Arthur Carmazzi, and with my co-host, Mark Nation. And today we have Jonathan Lowe, top 10 in customer experience. Jonathan, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great, Arthur. Thank you for having me here, to you and also Mark. It's great to be here.
All right, so let's go ahead and let's get started because people are busy and they want to know what's going on. So what is the biggest problem that you see?
Well, it's interesting. Over the last, I think, 6 to 12 months, a lot has been happening around the world. And of course, in recent months too, right? Things are still evolving. So one of the things that I'm hearing is people are finding ways to adapt better, not only to AI. Obviously, AI is the buzzword right now. But in the work that I'm seeing, that I'm doing a lot, it has a different version of AI. So right now, I'm doing a lot of work helping organizations get better at adaptability intelligence. We started the world with IQ, EQ, and now we're evolving into AQ, which is adaptability coach. So a lot of work centered around that. There's a wonderful tool that is 15 dimension. It looks into the area of ability, character, and also environment. So in each of the 3 dimension, there are 5 dimension subsector into it. So yeah, a lot of great things that I'm working around that.
Okay, so basically the problem that you're seeing is that people are finding it difficult to adapt. And original methodology is this particular dimensions that you're talking about. Is that correct?
Yeah, so the 15 dimension is not the original that I've done, but what I've done is I've being serving in the coaching faculty for a long time, right? And also doing a lot of work in CX. That's where I first originated. I came from the hospitality industry, so customer service has always been very close to my heart. So what I've done is, in terms of the original methodology, it was actually built from this book, right? Winning Clients Loyalty, that I've written, the 7 proven practices to convert clients into amazing fans, with the acronym of using service, right? SERVICE. So from this book, I developed a proprietary service champion profiling tool. So based on this, we kind of measure where are people in these 7 areas, of which we look into the self-mastery area, in terms of their experiences, what they're giving to clients, the relationship they're building with clients, the value proposition, the innovation, culture, and empowerment. So within the self-mastery, I've infused adaptability, right? So I've worked on a tool that supports that. And not only that, because we wanted to really help organizations measure results. And part of that is coming out with a coaching methodology. So I created a coaching model that is called CHAMP. All right. So a CHAMP coaching model will take people across. How do you connect with your partners? How do you connect with the people that you work with? What are highlights, right? What are the strengths? What are the opportunity for growth? How do you align some of your actions that can actually support that? And what are the areas you need to master? Right? How do you develop your mastery in the critical service competency, and how do you track your progress? So that's where CHAMP comes about. It's called the CHAMP coaching model. So it's kind of like the full circle. It's the full loop. Once I started with this book, and then the service champion, a profiling tool, and now with the CHAMP coaching model. Actually, interestingly enough, I know Arthur, you're based in Bali. I did a program, and one of the measurability was working with the two hotels, the Sons hotel in Ubud and also the Saras in also Ubud. So we had about 20 of the leaders, senior leaders within the hotels go through 3 months coaching intervention program. We established some key milestone that is needed in terms of service, from TripAdvisor, from how they're doing in terms of before, during, and after, and the result was transformational. So really happy that two is really supporting, helping people, and helping leaders to also embrace coaching methodology, or coaching mindset and approach.
Brilliant, brilliant. So then, I mean, that kind of answers the third question to a certain degree. So, what are the measurable results that, you're seeing in the real world? So you've given these two examples. Now, give us a few more examples of where else this model and, the combination of models that you've been using has achieved specific visible results. I mean, if somebody were to, go ahead and take your coaching model and your champ model, and also the CS model, the adaptability model, then what kind of results could they expect to get?
Yeah, I think in any models, right, in any profiling tools, one of the greatest things that I've discovered is the self-awareness that people gain through the whole process, working with leaders. One of the funny things is, there is this dimension called unlearn in the adaptability quotient model, right? And people always tell me, hey, John, I totally embrace change. I totally embrace what is coming to the world. I am ready for change. So that's what they say. But when they go through the assessment model, the unlearned portion really became a big glaring opportunity, right? So what in their mind they thought was, I'm pretty good with embracing change, but when it comes to the things to do it, it wasn't as easy, right? Some habits are really, really tough. And the conversation around those habits gives people permission. And I always remember what Marsha always says, right? For a leader to embrace change, there are three things that is important. They need to have the humility, they need to have the courage to receive the feed forward, and more importantly, they need to have the discipline to make things happen. Otherwise, we could be having a lot of conversation, but if they don't have the courage, they don't have the humility and the discipline to put into effect what they have discovered, it may not work too well. So I'm glad leaders are actually embracing that methodology and the way of working, and seeing great results along the way.
Well, of course, that also depends on, how it's presented. And that's why, Jonathan, you are a guru. That's the key, right? So Mark, do you have any questions for Jonathan? Because I've been talking too much already.
So many questions, but I do agree with you, Jonathan. We can say we're ready for change. We can accept change. We can drive and lead change, but it's so difficult. And adaptability, it's so in context, and that even differs not just in the day and age we're in, but by industry. And I'm curious, is your focus more on the leaders who are helping the organizations change, or is it entire groups where you focus on adaptability together, or some combination?
I would say it's a combination. If it first starts with the leaders, right? The leaders needs to get a buy-in first, and then we cascade it down across the organization, because they will need the people to make sure that the change and whatever they are sharing gets implemented. Only when there's behavioral change in people, when they see there's a need to it, there's a sense of, yeah, this is something that is going to really help us, themselves first, right? And when they experience that, then they want other people to receive the same joy. So so it starts with the leaders, and then it gets cascaded into the organization.
That makes sense. Now, I know you have it's incredible heritage in the hospitality industry, which we all know sort of customer service and a good experience means everything. And since then, I know you've branched out into banks, into tech, into telecom, other service industries beyond just Asia and different
Yeah.
theaters across the world. So I'm curious, have you noticed a theme or some difference in banks versus hotels or tech versus non-tech, for instance?
Um, I think the fundamentals of CX always originally, from the world of hospitality, and over the last even 20 years, 15 years, 10 years ago, right? Many of these organizations have been embracing how can we be the differentiator, right? How can we not just be a commodity? How can we humanize even the whole banking experience, right? So everyone is talking about experience. So they have actually used that as the foundation, and they have used that to even be a differentiator in terms of value proposition to clients, to win more loyalty among their followers, among people that are actually using it, going from transaction to transformational. So yeah, I can see that CX is really, really important in every aspect, and not only within the hospitality or solution providers arena. So whether it is in banking, whether it is FMCG, everyone is talking about experience, and that human experience with the ability to leverage AI. And AI will be twofold, right? Artificial intelligence, how well are you leveraging that? And also, how well are you adapting intelligently the other AI?
Awesome. Awesome. Okay, well, Jonathan, now if somebody wanted to, contact you and, and transform their organization to a more customer-centered coaching foundation type of company where everybody is adapting, what would they have to do?
Well, first of all, obviously, reach out to me, right? Reach out to me. Let's have a conversation. Let's have a conversation. But more importantly, I think as a strategy, the team needs to look at the reason behind it, right? The reason, the outcome that is important, right? Always begin with the end in mind. What is the goal that they're trying to reach, right? And once you are clear and have clarity on that outcome and goal, then the rest is just a process, putting in the little bits, right? But and the buy-in, I feel working with so many organizations, some has been successful, some has not been very successful. You need to get a total buy-in, and it comes from senior leadership, and not just saying that we need to do it, but actually modeling the way. It's so easy, right, for people to say, hey, we have to do it, but if your action doesn't follow through with whatever you're saying, yeah, okay, we'll watch and see. Nothing much happens, right? But if the leaders are really committed at all levels, things will happen magically. But there was a reason for that before it became magic.
Now, I mean, because that's a key differentiator. If the leaders are committed, so what if you've got some leaders committed and others are like, wow, I mean, I still need to maintain my grip on things, and and what do you do in that kind of a situation?
I think one of the things that is important is to really have a buy-in session, right? Before we roll out any transformation project, we need to get everyone in the team to sit down together, right? What does it take for them individually, as a team, as a whole, and how would they take this forward, and what are the results that they can actually gain, and how would this help them? Because many of the things that people are actually, and it's very interesting that you mentioned that, because that's the very same thing about unlearn, right? Because it's like, I rather not move things, I rather not relearn things, we stick to the way we've been doing it, and yeah, things are very comfortable, right? But if you want to be in the next phase of the organization in 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, something needs to start now rather than later.
All right. Well, fantastic, Jonathan. And how do people reach out to you?
Very simple. LinkedIn is one of the best ways to reach out to me. And LinkedIn has many of the histories of the work that I've done with many of the clients, in terms of even recommendation. You can read on some of the recommendation that people have gone through. from various industries. So I think I have about 350 or probably close to about 400 already now. So yeah, use that as a platform to reach out, and I'll be happy to have a conversation, right? It all starts with a conversation, and that is the way I would love to serve it forward. And you may be curious, what is serve it forward, right? So serve it forward is my methodology and my way of life of, doing things for you first, right? And when it works for you, it is a bonus. If not, it's my gift to you, right? So if you're in the discovery phase, let's have the gift of a conversation and let's see where the future holds for you. But I'm
All
so
right. Well,
appreciative to you, Arthur and Mark, for just having me on this amazing podcast, that we can get a chance to reach out to the world and do more good for the world.
thank you,
Indeed,
Jonathan.
indeed. Yeah, I just prepared to paraphrase one of the statements you made earlier. If you just commit to the process and you're transparent and vulnerable, then you create the opportunity where magic can still happen among your teams and in front of your clients. That's good wisdom that we can all remember each and every day. So thank you, Jonathan. Thanks for your time. Thank you, Arthur. And there you have it. 3 questions, 1 methodology, real results. That's what we explore on each episode of the Global Gurus Thought Leadership in 15 Minutes. I'm Mark Nation here with co-host Arthur. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Stay well,
Bye-bye.
everyone. Be the champion you.